Imagine this. You go to the ATM ready to take out some cash, but instead of dispensing your money, the screen flashes insufficient funds. You check your balance, 0 or worse, a big negative number. There's a sickening feeling in your stomach. This is kind of what folks went through during the Great Depression, but on a smaller scale. Now imagine it happening across the whole economy. That's the kind of vibe we're getting in 2024. We tend to think of money as solid. Those dollars in your pocket feel real, but a lot of what passes for money nowadays is more like a promise than a physical object. Bank balances are just numbers on a computer, and just like in a bad shell game, sometimes those numbers aren't backed up by anything real. Think of all the stimulus spending during the past few years. Where did all that money actually come from? Debt can let you live beyond your means for a while. The government can print money it doesn't have. Banks can promise you money they haven't actually got on hand. It works as long as everyone keeps believing, and nobody rushes to cash out at the same time. But what if something spooks people like, what if the news keeps talking about a looming recession in 2024, driving companies to lay people off? Even a small crack in confidence can make the whole flimsy structure start to buckle. The disappearing money trick isn't some relic of the past. Remember those crypto exchanges collapsing in 2022? People lost billions literally overnight. Turns out, those exchanges were built on hype, not actual assets. The same risk is in our banking system. Not saying banks will all collapse like they did in the Depression. There are safeguards now, but it's a reminder. If the foundation of our money is shaky, even a small tremor can cause a lot of damage. Imagine the entire US economy as a giant rickety roller coaster. This chart we're looking at, that's the track. See how it goes way up for a while, then takes a terrifying plunge. The upswings are periods of easy money, lots of dollars sloshing around, the economy speeding along. People are buying stuff. Feels exciting, right? But every roller coaster has its drop, and that's what we're entering now in 2024. The blue line dipping below 0, that means the money supply is shrinking like someone sucking dollars out of the economy. This is unusual historically. It's like a flashing red warning light for bad times ahead. The Great Depression, past recessions, they all had this pattern. Now some experts say it's different this time, but when you're hurtling towards that drop on the roller coaster, all that technical analysis doesn't feel too reassuring. Think of a party that gets too wild at first. Everyone's having fun, drinks are flowing, people are spending freely, but at some point, the hangover sets in. Someone has to pay for all those drinks, right? Our economy's been partying hard for a few years now. The money supply got pumped up, fueling a boom. But booms always turn to busts because that easy money wasn't sustainable. Now the bill's coming due. Picture that party again. The music cuts off, lights come on. Suddenly, it's not so fun. Similarly, when the money supply shrinks, people get cautious. Businesses stop borrowing to expand because it's expensive. Consumers stop spending because they're worried about the future. Imagine if stores announced 2024 holiday sales were cancelled. That's kind of the vibe this money chart is giving off. Less money circulating means the economy grinds slower, and that can easily turn into a downward spiral. Think of our economy like a Jenga tower. Remember how the game works at first. It's easy to add pieces, making it taller, kind of like how the government pumped trillions into the economy during the pandemic. But with each extra piece, the tower gets wobblier. Right now in 2024. They're starting to pull some of those pieces out. That's the money supply shrinking. Maybe it doesn't seem like much, but in a shaky Jenga tower, one wrong block can bring the whole thing down. It used to be that a dollar bill represented actual stored value, like gold in a vault. Not anymore. Now it's more like an IOU, which works fine when everyone trusts the system. But remember 2008, those mortgage-backed securities everyone thought were safe turned out to be junk? Same principle. If a lot of our money is built on shaky promises, it doesn't take much for people to lose faith entirely. Imagine everyone lined up outside a bank, like those old photos from the Depression. That's the nightmare scenario. If fear overtakes greed, people rush to turn their money into something they consider real. Gold, a more stable foreign currency, even stockpiling toilet paper if it comes to that. The scramble to get tangible assets would make the money supply vanish even faster, collapsing prices and causing a whole chain reaction of bankruptcies. Even if we avoid a full-blown meltdown, a shrinking money supply has real-world effects. Think about trying to buy a house in 2024 with mortgage rates so high. That's a consequence of this. Businesses have a harder time borrowing money to grow, so hiring slows down. Your paycheck doesn't go as far because stuff in stores costs more. The whole economy feels like it's running in mud, and it all ties back to how solid our money actually is. Imagine the Fed as a tightrope walker carrying a heavy weight. Inflation, their goal is to cross the high wire, stabilize the economy without getting blown over, causing a recession. Lately, their main tool has been raising interest rates. It makes borrowing money more expensive, which should slow down spending. This is working to reduce inflation, but every step they take makes that tightrope a bit wobblier. Here's where it gets weird. Think of the money supply as a bucket of water for a while. The Fed was throwing water into the bucket, pumping money into the economy. Now they're trying to drain it, that's the tightening, but some of that extra water got stored elsewhere. The reverse repo facility is like a side tank. Since May 2023, that tank has slowly been emptying back into the bucket, disguising how much is really being drained out. It's like those trick birthday candles that relight after you blow them out. You think the fire's gone, but it flares up again. In the same way, if the Fed thinks the money supply is shrinking less than it really is, they might not realize how aggressively they need to keep draining that bucket. If inflation isn't as tamed as they think, they might get taken by surprise and have to take even more drastic action later, potentially throwing the economy off balance entirely. The timeline is crucial here. The reverse repo facility is likely to empty out completely in early 2024. When that hidden supply of money is gone, the true rate of money shrinking will be exposed. This could be the moment the economy truly feels the pinch. Suddenly, that slow tightening could feel more like a hard yank, with businesses scrambling and layoffs potentially spiking. It's a reminder that, while the Fed has a lot of power, they're not fortune tellers, and misreading the signals can have real consequences for everyone. Sometimes, the most unsettling weather is that eerie calm right before a big storm. The Disappearing Money Act feels similar. Things seem okay for now, but historically, this pattern signals trouble ahead. It's like that feeling you get right before a roller coaster makes its big plunge. There's still time to react, but you know the fun part is over. The Fed is like a pilot trying to land a plane in a fog. They're trying to slow the economy down gently, the soft landing everyone keeps talking about, but all their instruments are on a delay. That hidden money sloshing around obscures the true picture. It's possible they think things are better than they really are, making them underestimate how hard they need to hit the brakes. Imagine a bus going over a pothole, annoying, but no big deal. Now imagine it hits a huge sinkhole, the kind that swallows half the street. That's the potential difference here. A small economic slowdown is manageable, maybe a few businesses downsize, job growth slows a little. If things go off the rails, those bumps turn into full-blown craters. Think mass layoffs, major businesses failing like in 2008, only potentially with less warning. This isn't fear-mongering, it's about being smart. Instead of burying your head in the sand, think of it as a fire drill for your finances. Could you handle a job loss in 2024? Are your debts under control? Do you have an emergency fund? Now's the time to shore things up. Even if the worst-case scenario doesn't happen, a shrinking money supply means prices going up, your paycheck not going as far, and borrowing getting harder. Being prepared isn't just smart, it's a way to take back some control in an uncertain situation.